Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the regularly scheduled monthly Downtown Development Rochester monthly meeting of August 19th, 2020, the year of infamy. Madam Director, the roll, please.
Ed Giovanelli.
Present.
Jason Rewald.
Here.
Mayor Bixon.
Here.
Bob Bloomingdale. Lisa Germani Williams. Chris Johnson.
Here.
Tony LaPuma.
Here.
Marilyn Trent.
Here.
Paul Haig.
Here.
Candace Prince-Lembrook. Ann Peterson.
Here.
Don Sinkowitz.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Okay, I was doing math as you were taking the roll. I was looking, there was less squares than usual, so I thought I would just kind of confirm that, but thank you for making it official. Thanks for everybody taking time this evening to come join us with our regularly scheduled shindig. The first item on the agenda is item number 3 after roll call, the approval of meeting minutes. We have 3 different meetings to talk about minutes on. A regular meeting of July 15, 2020, the special meeting of July 22, 2020, and the special meeting of July 29, 2020. Is there any discussion or a motion in our future? Don't everybody jump at once.
Moved.
All right, motion by the mayor, support.
I'll support it.
All right, support by the Puma. Any discussion on the motion to approve the minutes as presented? Seeing none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Fantastic. Audience comments. The only one I see in the audience is Nick, so he doesn't count. I don't know if we've got anybody else there, but we'll move forward. So let's get right on to the liaison reports. First up, Ms. Peterson, City Council. How are you? It's good to see you. It's been a while. I haven't seen you in a couple.
Yes, it has. Sorry about that.
No, it's good.
Crazy busy. So just a few things to report. OPC and RARA came before us with their budgets, and of course, with everything that's happened, a lot of significant changes for them, but they have presented those, and they were approved and moved forward. Also, a report which will be good for the DDA. It also is for the master planning process. City Council approved Beckett and Rader to be the new company to handle the master plan. And they're a Michigan corporation headquartered in Ann Arbor with additional offices in Petoskey and Traverse City. And they've been around since 1966, and they seem to be an incredibly awesome group. And looking forward to some real positive with things changing, et cetera. I think a new set of eyes is going to do the community well.
That is fantastic. Thank you for that update. Is there any questions for our City Council liaison? Seeing none, we will move on to Chamber of Commerce. Mrs. Trent, what do you have for us this evening?
Just a couple of things. Monday's golf outing, which was a fundraiser, was fully sold out, and everyone had a good time, and they did raise some funds. And we had a board retreat at the Royal Park yesterday, and we were working on an 18-month strategic plan. As everyone knows, everything's changing for everyone. So the chamber is working on their reinventing a lot of things for their members. So it's going to be exciting. I'm sure we'll blast it out to everybody. And pretty much that's it. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned, news at 11. Fantastic. Any questions for our Chamber of Commerce liaison? Seeing none, we're flying right through the agenda. Historical Commission, Mr. Sinkowitz.
Yes, hopefully soon we will start having our monthly meetings. It's been quite some time since we've had our face-to-face monthly meeting, and we haven't had any Zoom meetings. So communications is a little difficult back and forth between the commission, myself, and forwarding it. But we do want to thank the DDA for including the DUR our book in the downtown office. That'll be a big help, a big boost for that book. Unfortunately, the book came out probably at the worst possible time as far as the virus goes and everything being shut down. But if you haven't seen the book is actually gorgeous. The cover, the art, the photographs are just absolutely very informative and very well done. So again, hopefully we'll start having our meetings again, and we'll have more activities that we can report on at this meeting.
That's fantastic. Thanks for your update. And just for everybody's edification, DUR is the Detroit Urban Railroad? Yes, okay.
That's it.
I just know it by DUR also, but I want to make sure everybody knew what it was. So this actually goes back to my days on council. I'm sure the mayor can attest that we've talked about this a lot. So I'm just glad to see it finally coming to fruition and out and available. And now that I know it's down at the studio, I will certainly run down and pick my copy up. I was trying to get a free one when I was on council, but it didn't quite work out. So we'll go ahead and pay for one.
They haven't hit the studio yet. We're waiting for our delivery from, but
Got
as
it.
soon
All
as
right.
they're up,
Well, give us a heads up.
we'll post it up on the social for sure.
I was just going to say, I have no doubt it'll be appearing on social media at some time in very short order. Fantastic. Principal Shopping District, Madam Director.
Yes. So PSD, while we've been communicating via email, there isn't much for them to do right now. And we talked with Kevin Stewart, our chairman, and so he's put the meetings on hold temporarily. But tonight, what we're going to be discussing later in the agenda about downtown events and our plans A and B are with his endorsement. So we'll get there, but no official report tonight.
Got it. Fantastic. Okay. Hopefully that'll change. It's short order. I'm hoping and praying. Okay, fantastic. General business agenda item 6A, something that I'd rather not have to deal with, but we have to, the resignation of Jason Rewald. So as you may or may not have heard through the grapevine, Mr. Rewald, aside from being extraordinarily busy, just had a child, and I can attest to how that takes a lot of your time, energy, effort, and life force. So I just wanted to give you the floor, and before you speak, I just wanted to thank you on behalf of the city and the DDA for tireless service. I mean, having you on the board has just been fantastic and such an asset, and it's a big shoes to fill, not clown shoes, but big shoes to fill. But anyway, I just wanted to tee that up. So Mr. Rewald, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ben. I appreciate that. I'm actually missing bath time right now, so it's difficult. Sad to leave. Love the city. I've loved being on the board. Been awesome for me personally. I've got to know all of you on the board now and past members. So, selfishly, personally, it's been awesome. Christy, you've been awesome. I mean, the DDA is really the heartbeat of the city, in my opinion, and I didn't have that right or wrong opinion before I joined, but now I can educate other people to make sure they understand all the cool things we do, because it's super important. So sad to go, but no time's a good time, but it is what it is, and I've got to tend to other things. So it's been an awesome tenure, and we're in a great spot with your leadership, Ben and Christy, and we got a really strong board. So much success in the future, and it'll be all good. So thank you for the kind words, and sad to go, but I think it's time.
Mr. Chairman, it's Nick. Can I jump in for 1 sec?
Oh, please do. Absolutely.
I told Jason his grandpa would be proud. His dad's proud, but his grandpa would be proud of what he did for his service, and for that we thank him. It's been great, Jason. We'll see, obviously, doing stuff with me and Christy, but your grandpa would be proud.
Thank you, Nick. That means a lot, and obviously not going anywhere. I'm always a resource, Christy. I told you that, and Ben, anyone. So I'm here in Rochester. We'll be here, obviously. So not going anywhere, but hard decision. But I appreciate all the words. It means a lot.
Anybody else? Tony, please.
Jason, it's been a pleasure serving with you on the DDA. You've been a big help. You were a huge asset, and you're going to be missed. But I'm sure I'll see you around town.
Thank you.
We know where he's hiding. Christy, a quick math check. If we make this effective after the end, are we going to have enough if Jason doesn't stick around to vote stuff through, because we seem to be close on
You're
quorum.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, we're good.
Okay, so you can stay if you'd like to ride this one out, or you can go off into the sunset now. It's your choice. I will allow you. I just needed to do a quick math check before we cut you loose. So
No
Yeah.
problem. I'm gonna go tend to this little baby in the bath. I
Right,
can
go
hear
for
her
it.
squealing.
Hey, Jason, thank you
Okay.
for everything.
I told
Yeah.
Jason he was a great asset yesterday when you were at the other board meeting. So
oh dear.
yeah, we'll miss you, but we'll see you around. You did a
Thank
great
you
job.
all. I
Yeah.
We
appreciate
know
it.
you're. No worries. We know where you're at. We'll come find you.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Take it easy.
Jason.
Sure, absolutely.
See you guys.
Yep.
Hey, Jack.
See ya. Oh, well, okay.
Yeah,
Very
so-
sad, but I totally get it because I remember when, it's just having little kids is just, it's really a huge commitment. So I totally get it.
Yeah, but just for math, now our board, because we've had 2 people that have resigned, we need 5 to pass anything, and we have 6.
Okay, got it. All
No
right.
one else move.
Yeah, right.
And I think Bob Bloomingdale's still supposed to pop in tonight, so.
Okay, good. All right, so that's great. Just want to make sure that we do have a little bit of business to attend to. So with that, Jason's position was the vice chair, and as the role of vice chair, you're part of the executive committee, attending the executive committee meetings, at least in this iteration. But for sure, it's always what is the old saying, a heartbeat away from the presidency, right? So it's going to be sort of, the holder of all things together if the chairman is not available, and also to just sort of being, that valued asset. So with that, we do need to have a vice chair. We can't go on without a vice chair. So I don't know if we've given it any thought. I'm kind of looking to one person in particular, but if anybody had any ideas as to what did Mark used to say, voluntolding? Yeah,
You mean Tony? Is that it?
it could be. I don't know.
Bingo.
Yeah. So anyway, the floor is open. If anybody has any interest in the position, we'd love to hear from you.
Or Maryland?
Yeah. Right. I just, at this point, we need to get it going, or we could kick the can and wait till we have more people on. But if there's anybody on the meeting right now that has an interest, feel free to get after it. Come on.
Come on.
I'm looking at you two.
I was saying I was interested in being on site development since I'm sort of quasi on there. Yeah, that was
Right.
I've been nosing around a bit, giving my 5 cents and then a quarter, So I was interested in being on site development, but I don't know if that's a voted position.
Yeah.
That's a voluntold by the chairman, I believe.
That would be, yes, indeed. Mr. Puma, do you have anything to say to the group?
Yet.
Might consider it.
All right. I was busting Tony, trying to get him to do it. So site is Tony, right?
Yeah, we need Jason
Yeah.
in his office. I think it was just Jason, Bob, and we could use someone else.
Yeah. So Marilyn, I mean, if you want to do that and you've got the time for it, I mean, we've already got you so stretched thin here now with free stuff for the city. I hate to ask, but we'd love to have you if you want to, get involved. So
Yeah,
it's your call. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like to be on site development.
Okay.
I'm vice chair of the board of the chamber, so I don't know about anything else besides.
Yeah, I know, loading the boat up. Well, that's what happens once you get involved in city government. Then all of a sudden, people figure out that you're, we got him or her. That's right. It's like
do it now. I know I got to hone up on my Roberts rules. I got those. I got a little cheat sheet on that. So once you get those down, I think people ask you to do it more.
Right. Okay. Well, we don't have to solve the world's problems today, but we do need to have a vice chair. So if anybody, I know I have spoken with Tony separately to gauge his interest, and he's expressed so he would think about it. So he's still thinking. So that's fine. Maybe next meeting, if we could continue this on the agenda, I will endeavor to make myself not go anywhere between now and then, just in case.
No,
otherwise, it'll be a jump. It'll be a jump ball. We'll let Nick run the meeting.
There you go.
Is there not a lot of applications in for it, or they're not all?
Well, so here's the deal. We've got, how many open seats we have, Christy? 5, you said?
2.
Oh, 2. I'm sorry. Right. The 5 was the quorum. So 1 resident, 1 non-resident business
Correct.
owner.
Business.
Anybody who's a resident of the city of Rochester can assume the resident seat. I toss it out there for any liaisons that have expressed interest on our fine group here. If you find the time, energy, effort, and life force to give us a little more of your time in a more official capacity, all you have to do is submit an application to the city. Christy can kind of walk you through it, but I'm looking at Don. He's like right in the middle of my screen there. So I think he'd be a great add. So as our resident person. So as long as the historical commission doesn't get angry at us for trying to rob the cradle, as it were, and get you to come, we'd love to have you come on. It was from a personal perspective, when we were out doing the site walk, I've never had somebody, that wasn't directly on the board. It's not exactly the most glorious project, but to have you come out and join, to me, just spoke volumes as to, your concern and willingness to serve. So I just wanted to extend, if you wanted to make it a formal, DDA board position, think about it. So we'd love to have you.
I appreciate the consideration, and I'll contact Christy and we can work through the paperwork.
Perfect. That's awesome. Yay. Okay, very good. So we have, assuming that goes through and the mayor appoints you, because you have to get through his deep reconciliation process. It involves all sorts of secret trials and whatnot. But you get through that city council. We'd love to have you. So fantastic. And then in regards to the chairman, we'll take this back up next meeting. And as far as site, Marilyn, just let us know. I think we can do that. If it's just an action of the board, we can do that pretty much anytime. So, or action of the executive committee appointment.
Okay.
All right, cool. All right, 6C, 2020 sidewalk repairs. Mr. Nick, what's up?
So I didn't get to join everybody on the walk, but you guys came up with a very comprehensive list. A lot of the stuff we talked about last time, that was DDA/city infrastructure, sidewalks, curbs, this and that. So what we did was we have a guy, Brian, that does our sidewalk program. So Jason Dickinson put him out through the DDA district, and we're almost done with the comprehensive list of all the sidewalks that need replacement or repair based on the city's criteria, where there's a trip hazard, the bricks are falling. You all know that we have those pretty bricks in the ribbon, which I happen to love, but they weren't really put in.
You're
Nick,
cutting out there, Nick.
What's that?
You're cutting out.
Really, I'm sitting at my desk. That's weird. Okay, I'll keep going. Tell me if I keep cutting out. We came up with the list, and it was very substantial dollar-wise, like probably close to $100,000. So we had budgeted $30,000 for sidewalks. We went back to Jason and Brian and said, "Can you prioritize $30,000 worth?" Because the cities or the DDA's been helping with parking and PSD, and we could plan for the rest of this in the future, but pick the worst areas. And we wanted to go in certain areas so that we don't have to pay mobilization costs by jumping around for a slab here, a slab there. So they've pretty much narrowed it down to Walnut Main Street. They've got it at, I think, $29,700. And we would do that now in the fall, in the late summer and fall. So that would take care of this year's budget. And then we'll bring back to the site plan committee in about a month the rest of the areas, and then we could prioritize that and budget for that next year, if that's okay with the board. So we could go to city council and ask to spend, your capital dollars, but we need to prioritize all the capital dollars that you might be asked to come up with from the city, whether it's roads or whatever. So that will be coming in the next month. So if you're good with that, we'll just go ahead with the $30,000 for the sidewalks identified as the most hazardous at this point.
Sounds legit to me. Any comments from the board?
Hey, Nick.
Yeah, Tony.
Hey, Nick, do you think Walnut is as important to do as like 3rd, 4th, and University? Or?
We pretty much got 3rd done. 4th's next, but the amount on those streets, on 4th especially, is way over the 30. So we can finish Walnut and be done with it, and take that one off the slate from stem to stern, from 2nd all the way to University. So I think that's how that got put in there. And there's a couple bad trip hazards there.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that was the big thing is let's get after all the safety stuff first, and then I'll go from there because
Exactly.
as you know, we spent a little bit of money this year and the cupboards are bare. So,
Yeah, and we know that one behind Sergeant's, that's 40 grand itself, you know, and we'll have to take care of the trees and all that. We'll get at 'em.
you're full of all sorts of good news, Nick.
Yeah, sorry.
It's great. Okay, so it's a nodding of heads. I think we're good. Go ahead and move
Okay.
forward with that. It's already in the budget, so this is not any new dollars. So, but to the extent that you guys go through and find any kind of safety stuff that we missed, I can't imagine it happening, but just in case, obviously let us know right away so we can go ahead and get after it.
And then the letters today went out to all the private owners, a much toned down letter saying, hey, the city recognizes we have some issues. We're working on them. Within 30 days, could you please contact me, Nick Vanda, or Chief Cieslik, and let us know, here's the things that we noticed on your building or your property. You know, we'll work with you gently to try to get them done. Yeah, we just want to bring it to your attention that we're doing our job. We want you to make sure that you participate. So it was a much gentler letter than in the past.
Good. The stepping up of politeness is a step by step.
It is.
It gets more polite each rung of the ladder. Okay, that's great. Thank you. D is also Nick and Christy. I don't see Bob. I don't think Bob's on. Outdoor plan.
He said he'll be here in 2 minutes.
Okay.
So could we maybe skip to the next
one?
one?
Yep, that'd be great. Yep. So 6D, we're going to go ahead. Oh, sorry.
You literally meant
hey,
there's him.
He could hear the pitter patter of little feet. We just called your agenda item up, and then all of a sudden you appeared. So welcome, sir. Thank you for making time for us. So we are on 6D, the outdoor dining platform update. Nick, Bob, and Christy, take it away.
If you guys want to talk about the platforms and the final placements, and then I can talk about the rebate from Dillman and Upton.
Okay. So thank you, Bob, for being very efficient at what you did. We got a good system down with DPW, and thank you, buyers, for loaning us their truck. I mean, we paid for it, but greatly reduced price. And Jason and our guys were able to get the platforms from Bob, get them set. Bob's crew came in, leveled them with the appropriate labels or railings on, handicap ramps. And Bob went back, we put reflective stickers on all the posts. Because what was really bothering me is, here we spent all this money and they look good when there's people on them. Yeah, we had big cones and barricades in front of them because. So instead we went and put actual stickers. Bob put them on all the posts. So you can see them at night now. You don't have to worry about that. We got rid of all the barricades and all the cones. So now they look much softer. Obviously, if you turn around, they're very well used. We've had a couple of situations where people park up too close to the ramp, but we're working on that. And then, so we got Beyond Juice since the last meeting. Beyond Juice got done. I worked with Bernie at Penn Station. He decided not to get a platform. We worked out just some tables and chairs outside that I think he applied for a grant. And then we put his Bernie's platform on Walnut right in front of the Masonic Temple. Bob put a really nice ramp to the sidewalk. That's for the general populace just to sit at. It's not next to a restaurant or anything. And I think you got chairs from Marion, and there'll be some Adirondack chairs and a little table out there. So that's kind of an independent parklet, if you will. But all of them, even Chris's weird plants on his with the ficus that look like snakes. Everybody decorated them up very nice. I think the brunch house, Liz likes to jazz stuff up. But she found these planters, and then all of a sudden everybody else started getting planters, and they really look nice. So I think they look very soft, and the umbrella's up. It adds some dimension to them, and I think we're very pleased. And Bob, it went as smooth as possible. Now it'll be real fun to find a place to store those in the fall, but we'll deal with that later. So we're all done, completed. All of them are installed, and we have one extra one, right, Christy, for that. And we're just stashing that for right now.
For the front porch, eventually, for our mobile front porch, yes.
Yep. So that's my part of the update.
Bob, did you want to mention anything else, and then we can lead into the rebate?
No, just that I hear a lot of really positive comments from people. I mean, it's great for to have the outdoor dining and stuff, but it also does a lot to enhance just the total atmosphere downtown. People have a lot of positive feedback in that regard. So, but like Nick said, Won't be long. It'll be October. We'll be wondering what to do with them. So we should probably start thinking about that soon.
Yep, me and Jason are working on a spot to stash them.
Well, Nick's garage is probably looking pretty good.
It's not very big.
I'd like to say what a great job his crew, Bob's crew, did too. The nicest guys ever. One of them he keeps bringing me sausage at this point too. He makes like all kinds of like cured Italian meats. He still dropping me stuff off every day. He's like the nicest guy ever. So good crew. They did a great job, and yeah, thank you very much to everybody involved.
That's awesome. I did want to ask you, Chris, from the ultimate recipients position. You know, how did it work out for you guys? Did it help? I mean, just kind of walk us through how you guys are utilizing them. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I mean,
sort of real world application.
We're getting the most action when the sun starts to set more for us. Like Brunch House is lucky; they've got that huge tree right there. That there's people there all the time. But we've gotten a great response from it, and it's. You cannot have enough outdoor seating this time of year. You just can't. I don't care how hot it is, how humid it is. People still want to sit outside. Safety or not, they like to be outside. So, but we've gotten a great response and getting a lot of action out of it. So I hope we can keep the weather the way it is right now for another month or so. I'd be a happy guy. I tell you that.
That's awesome. Oh, that's fantastic. I always like to hear, you sit here and you try and think of the best ways to help, but you're not really sure how it actually is going to turn out. And I just wanted to make sure that all this stuff was really helpful to the restaurants, because you guys are like the soul of the downtown district, and one of the main reasons we were trying to keep it together. And so that's good. I'm glad to hear that. Let's see. We got to go back to the mini grant application. Is that where we're at, Christy?
Christy's got more.
Nope, I've got
Okay.
more. So,
Sorry. Oh, the rebate. Yes.
So two things. One, also with the one that was our parklet, Bob did go ahead and place the furniture, the Adirondacks, there this afternoon, and I did a live on our local page and shared it onto our social and got a really nice response off of that as well. So that was great. But even more fun, and this is something that Bob had alluded to, and he might want to jump in on this, that he was hoping but didn't want to promise us. He wanted to over-deliver and under-promise, and which is exactly what he did. But Brett Upton showed up at the studio last week with a check for $7,500 as a rebate to us for the money spent, that he said that he really worked hard with his vendors to get the cost down so that they could actually give that rebate to us. So Bob, I don't know if you want to add a little more color to that.
No, other than I had to walk around and take a few hits for the team by stopping and having a couple drinks with the reps from Timber Tech and the reps from Westbury. It was really tough duty, but I got it done.
Yes.
Well, somebody's got to do it. Hazardous duty pay.
Yes.
Well, thanks for that effort for sure. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That's fantastic. Well, great news, and make sure we send a thank you to everybody involved from the board, because we couldn't do it. It's a team effort. Okay, so with that, go back up to the mini grant. Is that where we're at?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so first on deck is the Penn Station East Coast subs. Christy.
Yes. So as Nick mentioned, Bernie decided that he did not want to pursue a platform. So Nick encouraged him to apply for the outdoor grant. So he put together, he didn't have any photos to send other than his rudimentary sketch that I showed you and that Nick had gone ahead and approved. So what you see before you is a request for reimbursement with the grant. It does qualify, and the grant amount, as I indicated in your packet, I believe was $550.
Okay, obviously within the dollar amount and all the other criteria appears to be met. So leave it to the board as to their thoughts and or a motion to approve. Anybody?
Motion to approve.
All right, excellent. Motion by Chris Johnson. Support by Paul Haig. This is a expenditure of money, so it'll be a voice vote, or a roll call vote rather. Madam Director, when you're ready. Didn't think you were ready for that one.
No, I wasn't ready, but I'm ready now. Okay.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
Sorry, took me a minute. Okay. Tony LaPuma.
Yes.
Bob Bloomingdale.
Yes.
Ben Giovanelli.
Yes.
Mayor Bixon.
Yes.
Marilyn Trent.
Yes.
Chris Johnson.
Yes.
Paul Haig.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Fantastic. The next one is for a related party transaction for La Puma's Coney Island. So let's go ahead and make that introduction, and then we'll probably need a motion to allow Tony to abstain from the vote because obviously for obvious reasons. And then we can go ahead and take entertain a motion to the extent anybody wants to do anything for Tony, which is probably a stretch, but go ahead and tee it up.
So what you see before you for Tony is actually a few things. He wants to go ahead and make his outdoor deck so that it can be used all season. So he is working with Solaronics to actually get a whole heating system to be put in there. And then Tony, correct me if I'm wrong, but the seating that you're getting, is that new seating for the deck?
Yeah, new seating for the deck and the new slabs I put out there.
Sure. So for the total amount that is listed here, it does go ahead and qualify, hits the maximum grant amount, which would be $3,000.
Okay, good, perfect.
It's hilarious.
Yes. So,
we're laughing, but it's in all seriousness. We want to make sure that we're doing this and being as transparent as possible.
I just
Tony,
want
of course.
that deck. If I can get a couple extra months out of it every year, I think would be great. That heater out there be a good asset for me.
Yeah, no, I agree, and this is consistent with the intent of the program, is to create outdoor spaces for dining and conducting business. So we can talk about the motion first, or if anybody would like to make a motion to allow Tony to abstain, we'd need a motion and the support. We'll go ahead.
I'll make a motion to allow Tony to abstain.
Okay, motion by Haig, support by Bloomingdale. Let's do a voice vote, or I'm sorry, roll call vote on this one as well.
Okay. Tony La Puma.
Yes.
Bob Bloomingdale.
Yes.
Ben Giovanelli.
Yes.
Mayor Bixon.
Yes.
Marilyn Trent.
Yes.
Chris Johnson.
Yes.
Paul Haig.
Yes.
Okay, so Tony, now you're you just have to listen. You can't speak, right? So, board, anybody have any items to or any discussion on the motion before us, to the extent there is a motion?
I see Marilyn waving her hand. I'm not sure if she has a question, but Tony, will this do anything to keep those poor people warm who are waiting outside your store, for hours to get inside?
I don't think that'll help.
What I'm trying to do, Bob, is I'm trying to get more seating, because if I am at 50%, I'll just have 3 booths open inside. So I'm trying to give those people waiting in line more room, especially in October, November, and part of December. But the way it sounds, I was with him today. In fact, I ordered the unit today. He says I'll be able to use it almost all winter. It'll work. It'll work great. So that's what I've been working on lately.
Sounds like a fantastic plan.
Agreed. Anybody else have any questions with respect to this particular request? Okay, seeing none, is there a motion in our future?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, to approve the
yes.
request at the maximum amount
Of 3,000.
pursuant to all the rules of the road. I want to make sure we're completely dot the i's and cross the t's on this one.
I'll second that.
Support by Bloomingdale. Okay, roll call vote, Madam Director.
Tony.
Tony, abstain?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
No, you have to say abstain because
You
you're.
have to abstain.
Yeah. Okay, got it. Okay.
Bob Bloomingdale.
Yes.
Ben Giovanelli.
Yes.
Mayor Bixon.
Yes.
Marilyn Trent.
Yes.
Chris Johnson.
Yes.
Paul Haig.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, Tony, now you're back on the, you were voted off the island for one particular thing, but you, now you're back on, Tony. So
Thank you.
although I don't think we got anything else on the agenda for you, but it's still good to have you. Actually, we got a couple of reports. Sorry, so that's good. All right, so that is the mini grant application. There's only 2 of them, so we're done there. Outdoor event updates, Christy.
Sure. So this is something that we talked about at executive committee, and I've been in contact with the PSD as well to discuss some of these items. So I thought it was a good idea to start in front of our fall and holiday event schedules, mainly because there is a rumor running rampant around downtown, and I've heard it way too many times now, that we're not doing the light show this year. regardless of Lanyard or anything else, many people, including many concerned business owners, are showing up on our doorstep saying, we heard the lights aren't happening. And when I query them a little more as to how this is, where they heard this or why they think this, they really can't seem to give me much of an answer. So it just tells me the number of times I've heard it, it's a thing and it's out there. And so we talked about an executive committee, and Ben suggested that maybe we put together a whole presentation of plan A, plan B, here's where we're going, that we could talk about here, take up to council to let them know where we're going, and then see if collectively we might be able to put out a statement at the very least about what our intent is. So I broke it down into 3 categories for this discussion. I figured I'll go through each category, and then if anybody has questions or suggestions or concerns, we can take it from there. Does that work, Ben? Okay, so I'll start with fall. Typically September, we really don't have a lot of events, but this year we had planned on doing a promotion to coincide with Art and Apples, and it was going to be called Taste of Fall, which is a restaurant promotion. It's not a special event. There isn't going to be a big gathering. It's strictly putting together a really cool online presence and brochure where restaurants that are participating are offering 1 to 2 dishes that have to do with fall. So for instance, we have, pumpkin quiche, and we have martinis, and we have this braised lamb shank from the Royal Park, things like that. So that's going to be supported online through some social media posts, some cooking demos, some different things like that. So that was already in the plans. But as you know, what we talked about a couple months ago is adding a little bit more art to this. It worked out nicely that deck art, which would have happened in May, but we couldn't do that because we had to shut down registration when everyone went into quarantine. We reopened that this summer. We are sold out of decks. So if all the artists return the decks that were taken out, we'll have almost 400 decks that will be able to be placed in businesses downtown, and that'll be kicking off the second week of September. In addition to that, the one project that I brought before the board and I gotten your blessing for was the Magical Mural Tour, where we will have pop-up murals up for about 3.5 weeks during the month of September. And they're 4x8 plywood sheets. Dillman and Upton has stepped forward and they are donating the plywood sheets to us. So we're very thankful for that. So it really isn't costing us that much to put together. We had some great mural proposals come in, over 40 came in, and we are able to put up 16 around downtown, and those are due into the studio at August 31st, and then we'll be placing them with Mr. Bloomingdale's help around town on different buildings, a few parking structures, things like that. So we're very excited about that. But the new opportunity that presented itself was with Paint Creek Center for the Arts. As everyone knows, Art and Apples was canceled, unfortunately, but they approached us because their primary sponsor, Genesis Credit Union, had expressed an interest in still supporting the Art Center and asked them if they might be able to pull together some type of an event that they could sponsor. Beth Chilton, the directorate, called us knowing that we already had that slate of activities that I just mentioned to everyone, and wanted to know if we would be willing to take on Genesis as an overall sponsor of what we're doing, and then they would be able to execute, Paint Creek would, a event they're calling Parking Lot Picassos, where they would actually take over a parking lot, which we're looking at the one by the elevator, and actually make each parking space this cool chalk art canvas. So they're working on that piece of it. After they left, and the team here, because we were running without a sponsor because everything's very much on a shoestring anyway. We talked about it and talked with Genesis and Paint Creek and indicated that obviously Genesis wants to support the Art Center, so they should do that. So we're going to go ahead and fulfill the sponsorship, but not take any dollars because we really didn't need any to execute the program. So Paint Creek, through our actions, will be getting an extra $10,000 into their budget to help offset some of the problems that they're having right now. So we're happy to do that, excited to partner with them. We're also doing a Tote Bag Fundraiser with them, which I just got notification those are shipping here tomorrow. Or they're shipping tomorrow, so they'll be here next week. We've already started doing pre-sales on those. They're $15 tote bags, and for everyone sold, $10 is going to Paint Creek. The other $5 covers our cost, so there's zero cost to us, and we're helping with the marketing on that. So there's 2 ways that we're trying to support Art and Apples and Paint Creek, which are so important to our community, but that gives us a nice way to tie together that September is Art Month in downtown Rochester, and we're going to start marketing that in another week or so. You'll start seeing some more things about that. So I don't know if anyone has any comments or questions about what's happening in September.
I don't, other than the thank you, Christy, for helping the Paint Creek Center for the Arts out. I'm on their board as well, and losing Art and Apples was obviously a major hit to them. So thank you very much for stepping up and giving them a hand.
Well, it's our pleasure. I mean, we're doing our best to help as many as we can, and that just seemed like an opportunity that was handed to us. So why not? Why not take it?
No, it's
So.
very commendable. I know they raised $250,000 or more.
Yeah, I know that what we're doing is only a drop in the bucket, but I don't think.
know but at least it's awareness, and maybe they can come up with some virtual. I mean, our Ann Arbor Art Festival is coming up with some kind of virtual art fair. I was going to call the executive director and see what, I know that they're brainstorming a lot of things, but anyway, that's great.
So
every little bit helps.
Yes, so that's September. So now for October, the events that we would have on the calendar, the first one is Rochester Posed. While the models in the windows would certainly be very safe, and that would be fine. Police chief is holding off making any decisions on this. We're going to talk about it more in a couple of weeks, but we are victims of our own success, and he is concerned about the amount of people it would put on the sidewalks. So we haven't submitted anything to council on that yet, and Steve said he'll talk to us after Labor Day and see where we are, but that one would be concerning only from a crowd perspective. So if Steve is not comfortable with doing that, we're going to see if there's anything else that we could do with that one, but that one is a challenge just because of crowds.
Is there any way we could do it in the deck?
It'd be cold.
Well, there's that.
Yeah, there's that.
Have a winter themed one, I guess.
Yeah, actually, what was working out well this year is the theme for Pose was duos. So we were only going to have 2 people in a window to begin with, which would have been great. And we weren't having like Brady Bunch or anything else. So it was just going to be pairs. But yeah, so to be continued on that one. But that one right now, we're not confident just from the crowds that we would be able to do that. The Just Us Girls Stroll, not our event, but something that some merchants put on last year, was kind of like a rebooted Girls Night Out event. That was the beneficiary of that was the Women's Fund. The Women's Fund has approached us. They are going to take on that event this year. I ran their plans by the chief. They're comfortable with it. They're going to use our studio here as the place that people, when they pre-register, they can come and pick up their tote bag and their goodies and head out. They're working with businesses to make sure that people have a doorman or woman to stand and make sure they don't get too many people in the stores. They're not offering any food or drink because of everything going on, and there will be no gathering at the end. This will be strictly just come, shop, support, go home. Steve's comfortable with that, the police chief, and so they're going to go ahead and move forward. So we're supporting them through helping with the marketing. We sent that out to the merchants yesterday to try and get them on board. And there will be no participation fee for the merchants this year, just asking that they rebate 10% of their sales from that evening to the Women's Fund. And they're going to sell tickets, they said 100 to 150. So that's going to be happening in October. Looks like that's a go. Last but not least, speaking of crazy crowds, trick or treat downtown. Yeah, so on a good year, I don't know about trick or treat just in general, not speaking just for downtown. I don't know if trick or treat's going to be a thing this year, but I mean, it's a little early to tell. So again, in speaking with the police chief, he said, let's wait and see. But he was interested last year. I don't know if anyone recalls, we started something called the Halloween Fest, which was the ending of where the Halloween parade, the costume parade that we do on Water Street. Then they would end up in the farmer's market lot. And this last year we had pumpkin bowling and photo spots and some things. And we've been talking internally about ways we might be able to make that socially distanced and fun and things like that. So we're talking about a few things. And of course, with that lot, the way we do with farmer's market, we could limit one way in, one way out, so we could manage capacity. So PSD is going to be working on that. But again, it's a numbers game in terms of waiting to see where the state is and what's happening with everything. So, but again, the police chief was not feeling great about trick or treat specifically. So there's that.
Bah humbug, Chief Steve. Yeah, no, I get it. It's, to the extent we can do, because the weather, of course, at the end of October is super sketchy. I always leave open the decks just as a place to kind of do, having, I don't want to call it trunk or treat. It sounds kind of goofy, but you know what I'm saying? Something that gives the ability for us to control crowds and still preserve the ability for the kids to have fun and not get totally hosed. So.
Yes, so we're optimistic. Like I said, Steve's not shutting us down on much of anything yet. He really wants to.
I know.
And with us, I mean, we have been able to, as Ben says, stick and move very quickly. So if we do see an opening that we could do something appropriately and safely, we're going to go for it. But we're going to just kind of take a wait and see. But having said that, so we didn't have such great news for the October slate, but November we feel really good about right now, and I'll tell you why. So starting with the Festival of Trees, that one actually, in speaking with Alan Smith over at Community House, he said right now with the current phase 4 status that the chief is allowing him 60 people in the building at a time, which quite honestly on the weekends when we're open to the public, that Saturday, Sunday, we don't have probably more than 60 people in that building. And since it's a one-way in, one-way out, we could absolutely monitor that capacity. For the cocktail preview, that's the only thing we're talking about that would have to change, that depending on what capacity is. If it's a number that we think we could be comfortable with, that we could get enough people in there to make the dollars that we'd like a 200 or 250 number, which is a possibility if we're in phase 5. That's very interesting. The other way, if we're still limited at the 60, if we're still in phase 4, we could, one of our committee members was suggesting timed ticket times. So that way we would be able to control the people, and people would have like a 7 o'clock ticket, an 8:30 ticket, something like that. So we could still get people through on the cocktail. The cocktail is important because that's where the majority of our items sell. That's also not directly related to the fact that that's the only part of the festival that serves alcohol. I'm connecting dots. Does everybody get what I just did? Yeah.
Yes.
So we need the cocktail to make the dollars because we do need that event to help pay for lights. So it's all a circle. So, but again,
I've got kids who go to Catholic school. I'm acutely aware of how the alcohol bidding goes.
Yes. So we need it. We have had some additional ideas that if we do feel as we get closer and we know what we're dealing with, that we could do possibly an online component. If we wanted to then after the fact, if some things didn't sell, have them in the studio on a bid situation or something like that. So we have alternate ideas, but I think even if we had the phase 4 limitations we have right now, I feel confident that we could still pull something off that would be creative and interesting. And honestly, the weekend would really be the same. It would just be the cocktail that would have to pivot a little bit. So to be continued on that one, but we're feeling good about it. We sent out all the sponsorship stuff this week, trying to engage people that way. And we're already starting to pull out all of our stuff, and we'll start actually building in the studio probably end of September, beginning of October, because that's usually when we start building, because it takes a minute to build 30 trees. So we thought it might make it fun and make it more interactive, maybe even do it in the window one night or things like that. So festival would be a go, which leads us up to Lanyard and Big Bright. So Lanyard, again, in speaking with the chief, not a big fan of that for this year, but he's not saying no yet, but he doesn't know how we would do that quite yet. But he and everyone else that I've talked to thus far feels like Big Bright is something that could still go, because technically the lights are just on. It's much like the magical mural tour and some of the other things we do. It's a self-guided thing as people come down. The key is not doing an event where we're inviting people to be in a closed space at any time. It's outdoor. People can just come, stroll, do whatever. Big Bright is super important in any year, but I think I talked to executive committee a little bit about this, and I don't think I've shared it here. We've been doing a lot of research about trends for holiday this year in light of COVID and what people are thinking. And I will tell you that in the month of July, I read this amazing article that Google reported that searches for things related to Christmas recipes, Christmas themes, Christmas decorating were up 4,000%. So people have been starting to do some studies. People, for whatever reason, good, bad, or unreasonable, are feeling like the holidays are their beacon on the hill, that if we can get to holiday, everything is going to be okay. And so they are doubling down on wanting to look to the holidays, that everything is going to be fine. In that, there are certain things that they are looking for. They say that the trends this year are going to be staying local. While people are going to want their friends and family near them, they're not going to go venturing out. They're not going to be taking big trips. They want to stay close to home, and they want to support businesses close to home. They want to support businesses and places, and for us, I'm saying community because of what we do, that support their own community. They really like that. That seems to be something that's going to be a trigger point for people when they're opening their wallets this holiday season. A community that's a business, or in our case, an organization that gives back to its community. They're looking for memory-making moments because, sure, I'm sure we've all made memories the last few months, but maybe they're not ones that we really want to keep and hold dear and put in the scrapbook. So when you start looking at these things, local, memory-making, family, community, a brand that gives back to its community, we are built for this. If there was a time that Rochester was built for something, it is this. So I just feel like if we can get in front of this to let people know that the lights, regardless of anything else, the lights are happening, I think that would go a long way. We posted a big bright photo back in July on our Instagram, just saying Christmas in July, and people freaked out. They were so excited to talk about Big Bright, thought we were putting it up right now. It really is a trigger point in a positive way. And I think it's something great that we could do. So Big Bright's a big thing. Lanyard is a question mark right now. Somebody had asked, could we do it virtually? I'm thinking, you know, the minute somebody gets wind that we're doing something, people are going to make their own Lanyard and head on down. So we just have to be very careful. As I was saying on my business development committee call this year, usually every year I want to be top of the list of most magical Main Street, all this. This is where I am. Here's the radar. Here's my hand. You see how you can't see it? You see
That's right.
That's where we want to be this year. The last thing we want is the governor getting wind of big crowds in Rochester if we're not in phase 5, it's not appropriate, and shutting us down. So radar, us. It's kind of where we are. Even though it's our 15-year, I was really hoping to be able to do some other fun stuff. And I do have a proposal coming in from Winterland that does all of our cool display stuff for some stuff if we want it this year or if we want to push it off to next year. But that's still something we are working on before we went into shutdown. So the Big Bright's a big one for us. Kris Kringle, another big population of humans in one place. So we've been talking with the chief about that as well. We have a few ideas, and one of them is something we've learned at the Thursday night market. That upper deck of the east parking platform is a really nice event space. It's a great place for us to be able to social distance, as well as we just fixed all the electrical up there. So all the electrical's hot and ready to go. It's easy to do a one-way in, one-way out up there so that we can monitor capacity, because that's the biggest key with Kringle, as in talking with Steve, to monitor capacity on 4th Street. We have people that could come behind the sidewalk, people that could come down the alley, people that come out of businesses. There's just not a great way, unless we put a big wall around Kringle, which we don't want to do, to make that happen. But we're talking about if, again, we don't know what we don't know, but this could be something where maybe a relocation for this year to the upper deck might be an option to help us do what we need to do. In talking with Steve, he's open to any discussions. Again, he feels like it's a little too early, but he's glad that we're thinking of other things. We also talked about spacing out the footprint over onto Walnut. If it's less about capacity control and more about just spreading it out so people can spread out, then we have that as an option as well. But it's definitely something we're working on. Taylor went ahead and sent out a teaser to all of the previous vendors just to say, hey, we're planning on Kringle, don't send a deposit yet, but we're working on it. Are you in? And she's gotten a fairly positive response from vendors that they are still interested in doing it. I mean, being outdoors for all these things that we're talking about, we do have a decided advantage over maybe some of the other things that some people would want to do. So Kringle right now is on our radar to happen. We just don't know what exactly it might look like for this year. And then last but certainly not least is caroling in the city. We have all of Main Street. We could social distance the heck out of that thing. But again, it comes down to crowds and having an event. So Steve is not closing the door on that one either, but he wants us to wait a bit before we do anything about that. Just because, again, he's concerned about optics on some things and whatnot. So caroling is I would say that, obviously we can put it on the plan, but we'd have to be prepared if we get closer that if we can't do special events, we can't do special events. So that would be that. The Kringle's different because it's a market format, and that's how we've been able to do Thursday night market and the downtown farmers market. So that's everything for the rest of the year. So fairly good news, I think. I think we're trying to stay as positive and optimistic as possible, but I'd love to hear everybody's thoughts about where you want to go, because I've been accused of recently I'm ridiculously optimistic about things. So if anybody else wants to chime in, feel free.
No, we need that optimism. Yeah, so I wanted to go ahead and so we talked about this at executive, and I want everybody to sort of cast their opinions as to event stuff and how how we should get after it. I think Christy laid everything out pretty well as to the thought process and trying to please multiple masters here. But at the end of the day, we have a job to do, and our job is to invigorate people and encourage them to come down and not be depressed, right? And this is, to Christy's point, the holidays are absolutely key to that. So I'll open up to the board if any discussion, anybody.
I say the more events we can do, the better.
Yeah,
and controlling those events is going to be important. I've got to say that the platforms and then the Thursday night market, which I'll be doing this Thursday, but it's that Thursday night market is fun. I went and previewed it last week. And I think that more events we can do. And I mean, if we could have the Chris Kingle market up there, that would be very good because we could control the in and out of it. And Chief would be very at ease at that point.
I'd agree.
Go ahead. Yes.
I agree with Paul. Anything else you want to add, Paul?
I agree with both of them as well. And, as a restaurant owner, we need that. That's like, this is our bread and butter. I mean, I would say a good, 40% of what we make in the year is done in that time, like legitimately. So, and I know, Paul, with your business, you see, I mean, we need the people to come down, but I think we got a smart group of people setting everything up to where we're going to do it safely and still have it exciting. And, if it's good with the chief, that is, as long as we can. But I think there's a way, and I think we got to try something, and our community needs it at the same time, so
100%. Marilyn, please.
Yeah, I think that people are getting trained, for lack of a better word,
and sick of it.
To like with Christy being at the farmers market, and her team have seen how people are become more compliant, getting used to being at least some sort of distance or an effort. And the same thing was happening at the Thursday night market when I went, and I think it's already getting a buzz. Things, it takes a while for things to heat up a bit. So, and I think that, I don't know, is there more attendance? I only got to one, but is there's increased attendance or not?
So we're averaging about 650 people a Thursday night over the 4 hours. And it's very different than the Saturday market where right now it's heavy produce season. We're seeing 2,300 people a Saturday.
Wow. Well, I can tell you the merchants at farmers market are happy every time I've been there a lot more, obviously, than the Thursday night market. But what I'm saying is people are getting, used to this. And I think that, Chris Kringle would be a no-brainer if it's approved. And also the history of everything, other markets being successful and past Thursday night market being successful.
This is Don. What I noticed, my wife and I had dinner at one of the restaurants, and I'm not plugging Chris's place, but as always, the dinner was fantastic. And some of the individuals that were also in the restaurant at that time, after dinner, we went to the Thursday night market, and we saw those same people. So I think it's encouraging that the people are starting to put the two things together, that there's dinners happening safely, and of course then there's the market on Thursday night. So, and there were a lot of interesting things. Of course, the market cost me a fortune, as my wife makes sure I don't have any spending money. But it was great, both the dinner and the Thursday market.
Chris is like, well, spend all your money at my place, and if you got anything left over from the market, whatever, it's all good.
Unfortunately, from my standpoint, the place is right down the street. That's the truth.
See?
Well, Don's wife says he's got enough to go around anyway, so that's what I heard.
That's it. Touche. Well done. Mr. Mayor, I'm curious if you've heard any buzz on the street as to people's thoughts and sort of if you always seem to have your finger on the pulse of what's going on. I'd love to hear your take.
Well, I think first thing is, as people know, I've been a longtime supporter of the lights. So I have not heard that people say they're not going up. So I haven't heard that. I'm sure Christy tells me it's true. It's true. So I would absolutely be in favor of having the lights go up, and that, as Ben would say, a no-brainer. To me, Lanyard is probably a no. And I think somebody said, what I'm concerned about, we need to do stuff safely. It sounds like we've done a pretty good job, but we really have to think about the optics. The last thing we want is some big crowd. As we say, that's the last thing we need. So we just have to be aware of that. And, the problem is we get such good attendance at these events that we just need to be careful. So 100% for the lights, but yeah, the thought of the optics of a big crowd makes me nervous. So I think that's kind of what people are feeling, people on the council are feeling.
Yeah, 100%.
I think we can do it. We want to do everything we can, but I think there's certain things we just have to accept probably are not going to happen. But the big bright lights, absolutely yes, in my opinion.
Got it. Tony, did you have?
Yeah, I've been to a couple of Thursday night markets. That deck we have to take advantage of. I mean, when she says there's 600 people there, the deck is empty. I think for this Kris Kringle market, it would be a great. You can control the crowds, but you have area there. You have huge space. I mean, like I said, 600 people. It's like no one is even up there. So I think we really have to take advantage of that upper deck. Very important. We got to keep this town alive during, like Chris says, the December months for a lot of the restaurants in town. It really doesn't affect me. It affects me a little bit, but it saves these guys. It's huge for them. Make it or break it. And there's a lot of people are just right on that line right now between making it and breaking it. So we have to do everything we can do. Very important for our city.
I would say that the excuse me, go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
The Kris Kringle market could even expand up in that space.
I agree.
Because there's more space there than there is on that streetscape area. So
yeah, it's a great area.
I agree. So my bounce on a few items. Number one, we are, our role is to keep everybody's spirits up, right? So, Christy, how soon can the lights be up?
So actually our usual annual replacement lights just arrived last week. Typically we start putting them up beginning of October. We have to pull our permit, which is the other reason why I'm talking to everybody here, to make sure everybody's on board before I submit that to MDOT to make sure that they're on board with everything. And I wanted to make sure the council is with us too. And usually we just do that as a, just every year we just kind of throw it together, but this is a little different. So I wanted to make sure we had everybody's buy-in before we did that. But Dan's is usually scheduled to start going up October 1. If you wanted them sooner, I could see if we can get on their schedule, but I know that they're super busy too, but if that's what you're thinking.
Yeah, so, well, of course, we need to do the lights. That's a no-brainer, so let's just get it in the queue. But I was wondering if it feels like from a hope stage or hope feeling, having them come on and just all of a sudden just be on one day, like in, early to mid-October, I think people would just, kind of just sort of step back and just kind of get that feeling like, hey, everything's starting to, we're good. We got this, right? So I don't know, because I happen to agree with the mayor. I think Lanyard, to the extent we could even control that, which is just sheer chaos down there. I just don't know how we do it. But if we can get the lights up mid-October and then hit the switch, and all of a sudden they're just on. The mayor kind of in his quietness goes out there and whatever, maybe tapping the Oktoberfest. Yeah, that's exactly right. Or Oktoberfest, tapping the keg and, the lights go on, something like that. I don't know what Mills is doing. I assume they're not doing anything either. Or doing
they're not doing Oktoberfest. No, they called that earlier in the year.
Yeah, well, Stuart can still tap the keg. So we'll let him down there to tap the keg. He'll hit the keg, the thing will get tapped, and then the lights will go on. It'll be great. Yes. But no, in all seriousness, I would love to see us get them on as quickly as possible. And I know that, those guys are doing, all kinds of construction projects. So I don't know when they can fit us in, but it'd be worthwhile to have a discussion just to find out. So I would say go ahead and get with MDOT and get the permit going. But to me, as soon as they're up, hit the switch, let's go. And let's give people that spark, no pun intended, that, better times are on the horizon. And here's your first indication of, we're still here and we're not going nowhere.
Yeah.
Right?
I think that's a great idea.
All right, cool. So we'll do that.
Well, I'm asking the mayor, do you want us to come to council to ask them about Big Bright and give our update on our plans? Or do you want us to just go ahead and proceed with just Big Bright right now? Or what's your take?
I can't remember. Do you come to council every year with that?
No, we usually come with Lanyard. Yeah, we come with Lanyard because we have to have police.
Bright lights, just go, man, I think.
Yeah, it's already in the budget, so it's not like it's new dollars. So I would just go ahead and,
Okay.
I mean, you can never over communicate enough to let people out, but it almost would be fun just to make it a surprise and just do it, right? So I don't know. I mean, you noodle it and whatever, you guys come up with in terms of timing, because, it's going to be up to Dan's and their availability to get in there and actually do it. I may be good at a few things, but climbing buildings and shimmying and attaching lights is not one of them. So,
Yes.
so
Yeah,
we'll
I'll
do that.
I can get the
All right,
permit
so-
going.
All right, cool. So I think Lanyard is probably going to be a no, although there's a pretty big school of thought that tells me that this virus is going to be over on November 4th. I'm not exactly sure that's accurate or not, but I tend to believe it. So to the extent that we can't do it, I mean, always be planning for it in the background, but I would say, given everything that we know now, let's just go ahead and assume that it's not going to happen. But as soon as we go to 5, to Chris's point, we need to start doing as many events on the weekends in the wintertime, in the fall and winter downtown as possible. So I want you guys to be thinking outside of the box, all kinds of new cool events. As soon as we're able to do, let's do that to try and get as much traffic downtown as possible. And to the extent that I know council gave us until end of October, middle of October on the platforms. I would say that, who knows, they may stick around for a little while longer if all the planets align and everything's good. But I want to try and maximize, the amount of stuff in getting folks downtown. Right now, we're being called upon to do some extraordinary stuff, and this is going to be one of them. So in terms of Kringle, let's just call it on the deck for now, and let's get that scheduled. That's my bounce. If we go to 5 and Chief Steve is feeling better about things, I agree with Stuart on the optics thing. We can try as hard as we want to make it, but as long as it, people's perception is that it's unsafe, then it doesn't matter how. What's the old saying goes? Good deeds never go unpunished, right? So, so we need to make sure we live within that. And Bob, you had your hand up. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, what do you guys think about talking to Dan's to see if we could extend at least some lights to the parking deck for this year? Because if the deck was lit up, that might be kind of fun too.
We'd have to see if we can get more lights, because we order our lights back in March and they come from overseas to get our pricing that we get. So I'd have to see if we have enough lights to extend this year, but I can certainly ask the question. And
he might have a few spare rolls around if he's any kind of contractor like I know. He's probably got a couple hidden back somewhere.
Well, I'm the one ordering the lights, so if he has any rolls, it's because I bought the lights for him. So I didn't buy that much extra this year because we were actually in pretty good shape. We didn't have a lot of problems last year because it was pretty mild. So
any of the oldies we can dig out?
We actually, there's some that are still in service from 15 years ago, the original show ones, but not many, but some. But we have everything. We have our sea containers over at the yard. Ann has her hand up too.
Oh, sorry, I can't.
Oh, that's okay.
Go ahead.
I guess I wanted to make sure that we just continue to stay really positive about the possibility of still having the events in the future. And we really don't make decisions based on just some things and ignore the fact that, weather could be different in November. It could be a time that we could actually still utilize some of these tools that we've put in place right now. So hopefully we keep those options all open. And lighting up the deck, as Christy and I talked about prior, that would be something awesome too, as long as it doesn't cost extra money, right now, because I know how it's short on for you, unless we were to get a sponsor to help cover some of that.
Home Depot, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah. Also, I don't know if we're taking into consideration too that, now after Labor Day, the parking decks are not going to be available, so there has to be some cost to that as well.
We'll no money down, easy monthly payments. We'll make sure we make the parking system whole on that one. But I think that to go ahead and just make a commitment now that Kringle's going to be on the east deck, and then so that way you guys can plan and sell. I don't know how many spaces are up there, but it sounds like that there's perhaps more, or I don't know how that works out. Maybe you can.
We're going to actually, that was something on our list for tomorrow because we're there for Thursday night market. So when we were setting up at the lot tomorrow, we were going to take our wheel out there on our clipboard and do a little virtual map, see if we could figure out, then pop Pringle into the middle of it and see what it looks like.
All right, cool. I'm not going to the farm this weekend because I have to take my oldest to Milwaukee on Saturday. His mother's having a hard time with her oldest child going off to college. So, but I will be there tomorrow. Finally get to come see. I usually am bolting out midday on Thursday to go to the farm. All right. So in terms of caroling in the city,
and so
I'm sorry. I can't. All I see is just a black screen. So I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. It's just in the participant list. No, just real quick. I just wanted to state that there were quite a few skateboarders skating on top of the parking deck today, because you can hear them from down below. So someone's making use of our parking decks.
Well, maybe we can charge them.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I know, right?
Skateboarders up there.
Kathy was trying to get that one thing done, and I expect just to see whatever happened with that skateboard park thing they were talking about.
That's never happened.
Yeah. Okay, so Madam Director, do you have sufficient direction on these items? Okay, great. It's already 10 after 8. I have on the agenda to talk about the lease on the studio and our current space, and also to talk about sort of accounting procedures because we're selling merch now, and I asked Chrissy to kind of pull that together. I think I'm going to kick that one to the next meeting only because we kind of went long on the first one. My idea here is I want there to be transparency on both, and I wanted to have a discussion on the space. So I don't know if there's any burning issue with respect to Marty on the space.
I don't think
that can't wait till next meeting.
I don't think so. I'll just let them know that we're pushing it another month down the road.
Yeah, but I would just tell them that we really spent the majority of the meeting working on trying to, get the event schedule down, and we sort of ran out of time. I just want to be respectful of everybody's time. I don't want to turn this into a 3 o'clock in the morning school board session where we're, talking about stuff, right? So, all right, so we'll go ahead and we'll put both these items on the next agenda if that's okay.
Yep.
Okay, great. That takes us to reports, regular reports, executive director update. I think we got some of it already, but maybe there's a little bit more.
Yep, the only one thing I just wanted in there, the Main Street Oakland County update, in case anyone didn't notice that, with the crowdfunding that we did this summer through Oakland County, we had already raised $5,200 from the community. The county was matching up to $4,000, so we got that. On Friday, they informed us that another sponsor stepped forward that wanted to offer matching dollars, and so every community that participated is now going to get $2,600 in addition to. On top of that, with annually, there's an allocation through the county that we get tech visit dollars. We've used that in the past. This year, we were going to use it, Jenna and I, to go to the Disney Institute for that customer service training, but obviously best laid plans. But it's also how we bring in our people that do our different consulting for the merchants, where we run Zingerman's last year. This year, we had a visual merchandising person that was going to be coming in because that's what the merchants were looking for. So we had applied to go ahead and have that money cashed out and apply it to the collaboration studio because they were looking for projects that had to do with the current situation. We got notification that they did approve that, and there will be a $10,000 check winging its way to the DDA to support the collaboration studio.
That's awesome. Fantastic work.
Yep.
I was going to suggest taking that money and going to Home Depot and buying Christmas lights, but maybe for the parking deck.
Yes.
All right, that's great. Anything else on your end?
Nothing else that I wanted to highlight, no.
Got it. Okay, very good. Events and marketing, we kind of covered that as well, right?
Yep, the only thing I would mention is that Sidewalk Sales, we had put a survey out to the merchants about a month ago, asking them if they wanted us to just call it for this year or kick the can, and they said kick the can to September. So it's not publicly advertised, but we do have tentative Sidewalk Sales down for September 17th through the 19th. So again, Steve's aware of this. We're just going to kind of take a wait and see with everything, but everybody wasn't ready to abandon ship on that one yet. So we'll keep you posted, but we'll see on that one. And then for Taylor's update for the In-Town magazine, we're going to start working on that shortly. We never ended up sending out the spring summer issue, which ended up being a good thing. We held it because we thought we were going to be home for 2 weeks. well, so
Just didn't say which 2 weeks.
yeah, we just and then more 2 weeks, no 2 weeks. So we're pulling some of the articles forward from that. So we have a few things we can use there. We were really talking about it internally, and we want to make this. I mean, we can't duck COVID and what's going on, but we didn't want to lead with it either. So we were thinking of making it a little bit more editorial, more articles of success and perseverance from our downtown businesses and the things that we've done, keeping it positive, keeping that inspirational edge that we've been leading with in all of our stuff. So, and plus a lot of our merchants are telling us that they're not sure when their merchandise and what their merchandise is going to be when it comes in and when it's going to get here. So we might be a little challenged in some areas. So we're going to get creative and figure it out. But magazine's happening, and we're just going to get a little bit more creative with some of the things, the event calendar, because obviously we don't know what we don't know. We may just be limiting it to the few key downtown events for this year. And then so that way we don't have to be calling everybody and, oh, wait, just kidding. Nope, not that one. Oh, nope, we got to wait for this phase. Just the ones we know we can do. We put in there to really just push those forward. And then if anything else happens, bonus, yay, good.
Right.
So, yeah. But
yeah, I mean, our job, 100%, our job is to be what Jack Handy from Saturday Night Live, gosh darn it, right? You're smart enough and you're good enough. So we got to keep everybody pumped up. So that's great. Financial report, that was just 1 month's worth of stuff. So that's received. If there's any questions on the financial report for July, the fiscal year was ended June 30th, and all of that is in Anthony. Anthony, I'm trying to pin Anthony down. I want to have some questions for him, just sort of respectful to our budget and where we're at on how much money we've been blowing through this year, like drunken sailors on COVID stuff. So I just want to make sure that we get our arms around that. Biz dev, anything in business development?
Biz dev, we covered a lot of things this morning. One of the things was that and Nick can speak to this, Riverview Apartments that has 126 units coming. This will be about 250 people. The guy that has the sports memorabilia building is buying the building, which is great. Some other thing is that we're not going to do that ABC this year. They haven't even got in touch with us. We're not going to have to go crazy for Big Light Show. The building the building for, what is that building that is going to have 3 signs now? The Plant Moran and
the Angot Search Group.
Angot Search Group, okay. And basically, that's about it. I think we went through everything else. Is there anything else, Nick, that you would bring up?
No, other than I got to bring the business development team up with the Randy Aslo project is going forward to City Council. We'll see what happens. It got through the Planning Commission on a 6-1 vote, so stay tuned for that. And just that we went over the list of people that are reinvesting in their properties, like the former Cupcake Station now parking with Blake's. They're busy working in there, and the sports memorabilia guy buying the building, the macaron guy, BP. Fred's going to finalize his last look at the building, but the BP is basically done. Look how beautiful that is with the stone, and he's doing the landscape. That's a huge upgrade for us. And then at Ferndale and Glendale, Mr. Schneider's come back with a residential 12 units that's going to the Planning Commission for hearing next month. So, and then in the neighborhoods, drive around. There's so much residential going on.
Oh yeah.
Bob's said it's going crazy price wise and everything. So we're in a good place compared to a lot of other communities, economic wise, and that helps us with our tax base stabilization. So it was a good positive meeting this morning.
Good.
Paul, I could add one more thing. We did talk about Holiday Expo. That's the one event that Business Development does. That would be at the Royal Park. So we had a deep discussion about that. We're going to wait and discuss it again in September. We still have the room reserved at Royal Park, but again, that's an indoor event, which is a little different. And
it's limited to 10 people now. So yeah.
Yeah, so it wouldn't be so robust right now, but we have till November. So we're going to talk about it again at our September meeting of business development and see where the status of the state is and where things are going. So to be continued on that one.
I think that covers it.
Fantastic. Site development.
Well, Nick talked about the sidewalks, the lights in town. Dan's been doing a ton of those. I noticed on University they're working. And the donor wall, I think I might have a couple more plaques sold. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. And Chrissy, you were looking at a new thing for the other side of the donor wall.
Yep, I'm just waiting for Steve Miner to send me back some renderings so I can bring them forward to the board to see if everybody would be up for it. Tony's idea was to maybe do a smaller $500 plaque option on the other side of the donor wall. So Steve's coming up with some options that could maybe keep it affordable for us because we don't want to spend so much on the plaque and not make that much on the donation. So we're working on that. So to be continued.
$500 donation gets you a $489 plaque and $11 to the DDA.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. I think that is it. Is there any miscellaneous discussion that we did not get to? Okay. We are playing the special meetings by ear. So to the extent the governor, in her infinite wisdom, changes levels on us, where that gives us a little bit more clarity as to, things that we can do that would, to my mind, give rise to us getting together before the next meeting and taking any action that we have to take to the extent that we have to take any. I did see the obviously the parklet, nice job on that, with all the furniture starting to go out. So that all of that, all those assets appear to be starting to go out, which is great. So let's just keep it up, and our job is to keep everybody's spirits up. And I think to a person, we're doing a great job. I think, Christy, I tip my hat to you guys. You guys you're really keeping it all together, and we appreciate it. So to that end, any other comment from the group? Seeing none, meeting adjourned. Bye, guys. See you next time. Yep.
Good night. Thank you.